Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another crypto video. And today we honestly have some breaking news about Ripple and XRP. I'm also going to be talking about the Ripple v SEC lawsuit and just a couple of things in that little ballpark that are quite peculiar. Having said that, guys, our strategy from yesterday regarding the trading of XRP is actually still working. We talked yesterday about buying in this 2 to 4, or at least $1, 2 to 4 cent range. And look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we now got ourselves a 6th time in which it would have worked. And right now, I guess it's going to be hopefully our 7th, depending, of course, on how Bitcoin is going to react after this. But as it currently stands, there's no real good reason for a major breakdown towards the downside anymore, as the majority of the quote-unquote FUD has already been out there for a little while right now, and it would only make logical sense for me for it to just kind of switch over real soon. Now, if we actually look at the Bitcoin chart, which I don't have open, Bitcoin did also just break out towards the top side a couple of hours ago. We are being bullish, all right? Then again, we should never exclude an option for a little bit of a downfall. But yes, guys, I still and always will keep my long positions open. As you guys know, we are still in some juicy profit on these things, and I'm going to stick to it because I know it'll work out well. Having said that, let's check this out. Make sure you follow me over on Twitter, by the way, at DDustTBC, because we have a couple of really interesting things to share. So, what happened? Well, Eleanor Tourette, whom we know from Charles Gasparino and basically from Fox, they have been working their asses off to report on the Ripple v SEC case on like a broader scale. Now, she just posted this on her Twitter. Here it is. The piece we've been working on for 2 months and my very first investigative report. As Charles Gasparino has mentioned, we've reported the facts fairly and to the best of our ability, and made a conscious effort to give everyone mentioned a voice. Regulatory riddle, an investigation into the SEC v Ripple case and its consequences for crypto. The rapidly expanding crypto business is attracting regulatory scrutiny from the SEC. It seemed like a no-brainer inside the SEC last December when the agency filed this is very loud by the way, filed a lawsuit charging that one of the biggest players in crypto technology, Ripple Labs, violated security laws. Now, then Chairman Jay Clayton signed off on the case just hours before resigning from the SEC following the defeat of Donald Trump in 2020, and that made the timing a bit odd, since big decisions in government are usually left to the incoming administration to sort out. So, once more, the strange thing being, Jay Clayton, was the chairman, and he made a decision just before leaving when, in theory, if you want to open such a heavy case, you're going to kind of leave that for the people after you because you're not going to deal with that. It just makes kind of logical sense to me, but yeah, that's just me. Now, but the SEC Enforcement Division has a reputation for being independent, with staff attorneys remaining in their roles no matter who is in power, and the enforcement staff was united in their decision to file, while the 5-member commission voted 3-2, Fox Business has learned. Now, Ripple executives had, according to the SEC lawsuit, brazenly ignored warnings from the commission that they sold $1.3 billion worth of XRP, the digital coin used on the Ripple platform. They were violating security laws because the sales weren't registered with the commission and disclosure to investors weren't provided, contrary to mandatory prerequisites for whenever a company sells a security. Now, that's again basically the SEC versus our view, and that's kind of what this article comes down to as well. That just there's people out there like the SEC who think XRP is a security, and we also believe that the SEC thinks this, even though it's against popular belief. And yes, most SEC targets choose to in fact settle rather than spend money fighting in courts because, well, it's, if we look at the history, a really easy win for the SEC nowadays because all these companies are like, you know what, let's pay the fine and get done with this, get over with it. We don't really care. We just want to get out. Ripple didn't, though. And I really still honestly believe that the SEC didn't expect this outcome. I honestly believe that the SEC didn't expect Ripple to be like, you know what, we're actually going to fight it. We actually don't think you're right. And want to take this on. And so for the last couple of months, there have been, just back and forth regarding the lawsuit. We've covered almost every single part about this over on our channel, and we've also covered the consequences that all of this stuff could have for crypto, as, again, the definition of a security is quite strange, and even right now, we still don't really fully understand. Now, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says crypto is being used for illegal purposes since digital coins are used to price transactions secretly through decentralized blockchain technology that skips over costly middlemen, but also many government checks. SEC officials believe investors in crypto need more disclosure, not less, about the industry's various blockchain technologies and the digital coins themselves. But, and there's always a but, regulations have been known to slow innovation in emerging technologies, and industry proponents say for all the talk about bad stuff, the crypto business holds out the potential to be the next internet. Illegal activity occurred on the web, but the government allowed its development to flourish. If cryptos and blockchain can survive meddling with regulators or from regulators, it'll create a whole new ecosystem for transacting everything from buying a pizza to buying a house to decentralized blockchain tech. Now, in what shape crypto and blockchain survives could well come down to the SEC's case against Ripple. Legal experts and blockchain insiders tell Fox Business the case launched by Clayton is now one of the top priorities of the current SEC chairman Gary Gensler, a Biden appointee. Now, if the SEC can prevail in the court before Judge Annalisa Torres in the Southern District of New York, it'll go a long way in establishing the agency as crypto's primary regulator, imposing what industry executives believe is the SEC's traditionally heavy-handed oversight approach. So it's about to get really interesting from that regard. Now, yet, so too will be the myriads ways that criminals use crypto given the largely anonymous nature of blockchain tech, and does the U.S. government want to allow a new form of money to be created that directly competes with the U.S. dollar? We're talking about basically what is going to be allowed, what agency like the CFTC or SEC should control it. There's so many questions about things at this point, and Fox here is just kind of ruling it out here in a really elaborate way, as this is not a small article. However, since the majority of people on my channel here know everything about it, I'm trying to kind of skim through it a little bit because it's like a book, you know, that they've written here. We can scroll through this for the next couple of days. So that's why I'm trying to, kind of skim through a little bit. Most important part, if you ask me, is this Fox Business investigation section anyway. With so much writing on the case, Fox Business has conducted a wide-ranging investigation into the regulatory approach taken against Ripple. One particular area of focus in our reporting was charges made by Ripple executives and others that Ripple and the XP Crypto are in the regulatory crosshairs because other digital outfits have successfully cultivated ties to individuals and firms active in the regulatory community. They were given all a hall pass by the SEC, allowed to operate as virtual currencies without the rigors of government oversight. The question is an important one for any business, given the overarching role that regulation plays in shaping who survives, particularly in an nascent industry such as crypto. If the SEC is indeed picking winners and losers based on connections rather than merit, as Ripple executives believe, it would certainly tarnish the case and SEC regulation going forward. We did not offer an answer to this question, but instead a roadmap of sorts so the reader can come to his or her own conclusions. We do this by identifying the roles they played by the key actors in the Ripple drama and their connection to various crypto outfits, such as Clayton, the former SEC chair who brought the case, and Gensler, the current chairman who is pushing the case forward and looking to expand SEC regulation over crypto. A couple of important players also, for example, Bill Hinman, and there's actually a couple of other ones that are from the Ethereum Foundation. However, Fox Business spoke extensively to Ripple officials in preparation for this story. And that's actually something I didn't know. I thought this was completely independent reporting, excluding Ripple and excluding talking to the SEC. That's what I thought. But this is way better. They say they've done nothing wrong, and the facts will eventually show that as the case moves forward. But former SEC officials and industry executives tell Fox Business Ripple has no one to blame but itself. They describe Garlinghouse and Co. as opportunists who got rich off the sale of XRP but not playing by the rules. And of course, we have a couple of other guys like John Deaton who are on the opposite side of the spectrum. However, let us discuss a little bit. So first of all, we have Jay Clayton. The case against Ripple commences, and Ripple's case against regulators begin. So what they're basically talking about here for Jay Clayton is how there's been multiple cases that he's led from within the SEC, but he could have been biased because he has connections to the Ethereum Alliance, and they were basically really positive towards Ethereum in all the regulatory behaviors, basically. people are trying to now be questioning about that, like, why have some crypto exchanges not got an answer? Why have some cryptocurrencies like Ripple had such a difficult time to get answers? And why has it been so easy for Ethereum and some of their founders and some of their members to get all the answers and even know the answers before they are officially out? And why did you meet up so much with them? Why with this? Why? All those questions are being popped up here. And once more, guys, it's done in a way more elaborate way, but it would take a couple of days for me to, go over this entire document here by explaining every single part if we wanted to read every single thing here. I might actually go sit down with a little bit of a pen and just highlight the most important parts, but I read through it myself here. It took me like a long time. And I think I got the gist of it down, of what exactly they're trying to say. It's just the biasness of Jay Clayton in this entire area, but once more, in a very, very elaborate way. Then again, I can recommend you to read it for yourself if you're more interested in it. Now we have William Hinman, and the speech heard around the crypto world. So by the way, all these guys declined comment. They didn't want to talk on this, logically. There's, by the way, another investigation going on against the SEC right now from another agency, of which I forgot the name, but I digress. Bill Hinman was the guy who was also working at the SEC as the Director of Corporation Finance. And what he basically did in 2018 was let go of his speech, which basically gave some ground rules for ICOs and basically crypto going forward from some perspective. It's not too elaborate, but he gave a kind of a baseline for it. Yet, what he claims is that it's just his own opinion, even though there were a ton of memos towards SEC members, and basically the rundown is, we believe that he discussed it so much with SEC internals that this is not just his opinion that he gave in that speech, as the logical objective of giving that speech was to give clarity. And why does your opinion matter if there's literally nothing that your opinion matters for? Logically speaking, if you give an opinion, but the opinion doesn't really matter, yet you're in a position where logically it does, specifically given the circumstances, it's not really logical for yourself to give out an opinion like that. Because what does it matter? Why would you say that? Why would you give people an indication if we can't hold you to whatever you said? You guys get my drift. So I think that's kind of odd. And right now, more and more pieces are being found out as we speak about how it just doesn't make sense for it to be an opinion, and how it could have been biased, and how other people could have known that this was going to happen and whatnot. Basically, all linking back to Andreessen Horowitz and the Ethereum guys. And it's just such a big drama right now, man, because Ripple. Not exactly sure what happened there. Maybe I refreshed it by accident. Why does this keep playing? You're seeing this message because of ad blocking. Okay. Yeah, but I think we could still read on forward. So, yeah, I think we easily get the William Hinman bias, though. Why was he biased? That is still up to be determined from a certain perspective. I mean, all these guys have their own little part in the system, and at the end of the day, we cannot really find out. But, for example, in December 2017, he met officials from blockchain technology business named Consensus, which the founder of is also a co-founder of Ethereum, that operated on the Ethereum blockchain. He also held a handful of other meetings with firms over the next year. Consensus had a brainchild of Joe Lubin, or is a brainchild of Joe Lubin, one of the founders of Ethereum, the second largest blockchain. Now, in March 2018, the SEC received a white paper from leading venture capital Andreessen Horowitz, a big investor in Ethereum and sponsor of the aforementioned Crypto Summit, that proposed a so-called safe harbor for token sales. And the paper stated that Ether, despite its earlier ICO, is a good example of a type of token that has become so decentralized it should not be deemed a security, thus keeping it outside the SEC oversight. And so, how could this be? Well, a couple of people, even right now, are naming that a crypto that's properly regulated that's properly decentralized should not be a security anymore, because whose security would it be, right? How does that work? And a couple of SEC members have agreed with that. Right now, they're also basically proposing a safe harbor. Then again, William Hinman basically states, nah, it doesn't really work like that. Yet, whenever we look at Ethereum and also at Gary Gensler, what they basically claim is, if we look at Ethereum, it is a security, it has been a security, and it will stay a security. But if we basically just put away all of the things that make it a security, like the ICO that Ethereum had in the past, yeah, then it's fine. And that makes absolutely no sense, obviously. And Gary Gensler, I'm going to say, is the most neutral in all these senses, because here you can see all the connections between law firms that Hinman was involved with, and most importantly, Jay Clayton was involved with, all the connections right there. This is really something you got to sit down for and read properly through, because there's so much info to take in. But just understand that there's connections between the law firms and the Ethereum Alliance, and so there might be some monetary bias as to why they made these choices. Just saying. But Gary Gensler, I think, is the most neutral out of all of them. in the sense that even though he's had connections with so many things and things we are not even talking about right now just quite yet, he is not as biased by the monetary gain, I would say, even though he's definitely, you know, monetary in a good perspective. Let's skip that. He's not necessarily as biased by monetary gain, but he is following in the footsteps of earlier, I guess, potential wrongdoers, or more importantly, he's kind of going counter to his own personal belief. He has said before that, in his own opinion, Ethereum might definitely be a security, and even Bitcoin, theoretically speaking, could be a security following his own principles. But he does believe in the technology, and he does know a lot about it. Then again, he's also called this XRP, from some perspective kind of good, from some perspective kind of bad. And I'm not exactly sure what he personally believes and if it's different from what he's pursuing right now. Then again, many people are pointing out all the connections here and all the reasons why Gary Gensler would be biased against them. At the end of the day, guys, you might also want to notify here yourself, or kind of think about that it might also just be a career type of thing. It might just be a personal opinion. It might just be a wrong idea of things. There's so many different reasons as to why they could choose wrong, so to speak, and why things are strange. I mean, at the end of the day, it might all be like an insider game where one is acting positive so the other can act negative, and they basically roll that way for regulatory scrutiny, basically, to basically make the regulations as tight as possible. It might be that they did this case even though none of them wanted it because, well, they were told to do so. There's so many different reasons as to why this could all happen. And at the end of the day, we're not going to find out why these guys were actually biased. We can speculate, but we don't know. Nor can we actually see whether or not they were even biased or if it's just all a little bit of a coincidence. So here it goes into Gary Gensler's, for example, power grab that some people are referring to for him. There's also the Ethereum Empire, of course, because Ethereum had an ICO and people are asking, hey, so why did Ethereum's co-founders and all those guys know about all the regulations and know about all the things the SEC would do? Well, it's because they met up with them 1,000 freaking times. If you look through the schedules, and we've done that a couple of times already, you know that they talk so much. They have talked so much, and people don't understand why it's so easy for them to get the connection to the SEC, but whenever the other ones are asking questions, they don't really get them. And then, of course, we have the Ripple rebellion. Of course, the Ripple, I guess, comeback, and basically the XRP army as well, and John Deaton and everybody like that coming back in to say, hey, we don't really agree with what you're doing. We don't really think you're right. We think you as SEC should kind of harbor the innovation of crypto and basically make it a safe space and just make rules properly so people can follow them. Not make it so vague and just charge people with, not necessarily fraud, but some heavy allegations. So John Deaton, of course, came in for his I'm not exactly sure what the exact timeline of that is, but at the end he was trying to come in with a motion to intervene. Didn't work out, but he said here, Deaton was incensed as he watched his $600,000 in XP go up in smoke, but as he began to read up on the security law, he quickly concluded that he had a case since the SEC's actions, while directed at Ripple and its leadership, had more a direct impact, crushing passive holders of XP who aren't involved in the company's platform. As he basically saw his investment go down at that point. Now, he is critical. Deaton is certainly no Ripple fanboy. He is critical of the fact that Ripple itself has sold about $800 million in XRP since the SEC lawsuit, nor is he a big fan of the regulatory apparatus surrounding XRP. If the SEC really believes XRP is an under security, why are they allowing the sale of the token during an ongoing lawsuit, he said, which I agree with as well. There's so many questions about that. However, I do fully agree with Deaton saying, we cannot really look at Ripple and say, hey, you've done everything proper, you've done everything for your holder, and you've definitely not done this in any way, shape, or form for monetary gain. But that is not to be confused with the fact that what is happening right now on the regulatory front is just, in our opinion, improper, or at least not proportional. They could have definitely come up with some rules, or at least try to get rules made instead of this regulatory action. We all agree with that. And John Deaton was rightfully so to say, hey, I don't think what you're doing is right. We want to basically go against you or intervene. We now have like 50,000 people on the list here who say, hey, we don't think we are affiliated with Ripple in any way, shape, or form, which goes against one of the pieces from the Howey test, or one of the prongs from the Howey test. And that's basically what we're seeing right now happening. And so all these people are basically coming together right now. There's now, I think, 62,000 XRP holders all coming together to say, hey, we don't really agree with what you're doing. And at the end of the day here, guys, piece by piece by piece, it's all coming together. As John Deaton got his amicus curiae status, which basically means he can now help the court in basically providing information whenever she requests that. And, well, even though we're not really that far into the lawsuit, if you ask me, we're like halfway there. We're right now in the expert discovery phase where hopefully shortly they're going to file for summary judgment. file their briefs for summary judgment and their motions for summary judgment. And we're going to kind of get some steps going. But right now it's just a R word against the SEC's. The SEC is not really willing to comment. We can only just speculate. And I think one of the most important things is to bring to light most of the quote-unquote wrongdoings here and most of the things which are strange. I'm not sure it's going to make a difference because the SEC just kind of keeps doing whatever they've been doing, even though there's 62,000 people against them. But I think for us, it's most important to just get this idea going of what's going on, get a good understanding, get a good grip. And the fact that Fox is reporting on it right now in an official article like this, I think is going to make some really, really good steps. And I'm really happy to see the reporting. I think more media attention will meet them or make them more required to give some sort of feedback. Then again, guys, do remember that even now with the infrastructure bill, there was so much hate towards it. There were thousands upon tens of thousands of people saying, hey, we don't think the crypto way in the regulatory bill is fine. And even then, it just got passed without any issue. So the SEC being a lot kind of smaller and the issue being a lot smaller is going to get less attention. It might not have any effect, but all we can do is try. All we can do is hope. And eventually, they cannot ignore it anymore. They at least have to acknowledge it and say, hey, we think this is the best as what we're doing. But at least they have to acknowledge it. So I'm excited for it. Guys, that was it for today's video. Hopefully, you all enjoyed it. I had a couple of tweets here open, but none of it is really too important as it basically coincides with exactly what I just told you guys already. We have some more Ripple news coming up, but I'll talk about that in my just crypto news video, which is coming out later today. Guys, if you want more of these videos, make sure you press that like button and let me know in the comment section down below. But the plan right now is to do more crypto news, as you guys have been requesting that like crazy, more consistently every day around the same time. I'm going to try that, get that done. And get you guys more information on some of the altcoins which I'm buying and stuff. Just make sure you keep pressing that like button on the videos. It helps me out a ton. And make sure you subscribe to the channel for more of these crypto updates.